Um, it's a difficult question to answer. What's your favourite fixture as an England player? Because it tended to be away from home because the atmosphere in the stadium, you preferred playing at home, but some of the bigger atmospheres were when you were played away in the hostile crowds. But in particular, Wales in Cardiff was probably my favourite. After the 2003 World Cup, we went on our parade around London, probably expecting no one to be there, and there were 750,000 people who turned out to see us. But the couple of people that stood out were the ones that were half naked in the fountain on a freezing day in December. Probably the one that people know best is Malud, because my dad was a judge, but other people had better nicknames. My favourite nickname is Billy 12 Trees, because 12 trees are 36, so his nickname is 36. The best player that I had the privilege to both play against when he was at Sale Sharks and thankfully play more times with was Jason Robinson. And every time the ball was kicked over your head when he was on the same side as you, you'd hear 80,000 people at Twickenham have an intake of breath because you knew something special was going to happen. And he'd always run the ball back, but sometimes when the fullback runs back at you, you know that you're in trouble and you've got to get there. But you knew with Jason that he was always going to be able to stay up long enough for you to get there, but more often than not make a break. But it wasn't very nice when you were in quite a big channel trying to defend him on your own. Very difficult, as I was a massive sports fan, particularly growing up. I followed every sport. I was a big Liverpool football fan, so I think if you'd asked me then, I would have loved to have been centre forward for Liverpool, but also the NFL, so perhaps with my older head on, maybe a Super Bowl champion. The first one probably will be a bit surprising, but it's calmness. Just the calmness in the changing room before we went out. There was obviously a little bit of nervousness, but the guys were so confident in our ability to go out and do the job. And also, you can use that calmness for when everyone else was panicking and the game went to extra time, because we'd expended all our nervous energy. Just that calmness in the huddle as well. So we'd almost blocked out the noise, but noise would be my second word, particularly walking out for the first time and through the tunnel and just that wall of noise that hit you. The England fans had been so fervent the week before, even turning up to the Australian semi-final against New Zealand, and we could, as we were watching on telly back in the hotel, we could hear them singing Swing Low Sweet Chariot, so that had given us a lift. So you can imagine what that did to the Australian fans, so huge noise. And then the final one was probably emotional, because it was an emotional roller coaster. Things went wrong during the game. One of them, quite famously, was down to me, but just that change in atmosphere, the nervousness from the England fans when things weren't going our way, and then the pure relief when Johnny kicked the drop goal, and the outpouring of emotions when that final whistle went. I don't think until you've actually run out at an international stadium, you can underestimate what an impact the fans do have on you and the support that you have that gets you through those dark moments. That one of the highlights for me in the World Cup was running out for the semi-final, and usually when you play at Twickenham it's a bit cold and everyone's wearing their jackets, and we ran out at Stadium Australia to 80,000 white shirts. It was unbelievable, and the noise, people had sacrificed so much to be down there and follow us to the other side of the world, just gave us an enormous lift, and so much so that come the final a week later, the Australians were handing out free yellow t-shirts because they were so worried about the England fans. It would probably be shutting the changing room door after winning the final in 2003, and just that quietness and the sense of satisfaction and achievement that we all knew some of the places and some of the things we'd had to do that will never be out in the public domain, the training camps we went through and all the sacrifices we had to make, and actually just closing that changing room door for the last time as a squad, knowing some of the guys were going to retire, and just having a quiet beer, and we were obviously all very, very tired, but just that sense of achievement, and probably didn't want that moment to end, and we didn't want to go on to the official functions because we knew this was the last time we were all going to be together.